Ride home with Josh, or ride along with Josh, or go ride along. I don't know. Title is subject to change. We are done with the day, so we are heading home. Hopefully, you had a good day today. Um, but the topic that I want to talk about today on the way home, and feel free to comment or uh, throw me some information what you guys want to talk about too, is when you're looking for a home. So you're going to be buying a new home, or you're moving, or and I guess it really could be in an apartment as well. But trying to see things that you should um, keep in mind, uh, or look at, make sure you find out about when you're looking at a home, but not on the part of like, is the house going to fall apart or something like that. I'm not a home inspector. I'm talking about just for smart home integration, or DIY smart home, or home automation systems, things that will, if you're doing it yourself, going to make your life way easier. But also, um, if you're not going to do it yourself and you're going to have another company do it, it might make things cheaper because things are already going to be done for you. So, those are the things I want to talk about today. And I'm kind of going to um, categorize them in a couple different um, categories. So basically, in general, things that you want to keep look at when you're going and looking at the house: lighting, security cameras. Um, let's see, audio and visual, like speakers and TVs. Things like let's see, what else? HVAC stuff. So I'm going to basically categorize each of these things in those. So first off, just general things you should be looking for when you go with your realtor to a house. One thing I would advise to bring, uh, tape measure is always great because you can see how big the rooms are and such and that. But one thing is, bring a screwdriver, and the reasoning why is because you're going to need to be able to take things apart. uh, Maybe with the realtor not looking, but things that you're going to need when you go look at stuff. So, the first thing I want to see and talk about is just wiring in general. Um, we all know smart home stuff. Yeah, a lot of it is wireless, but really, a lot of it's going to need to be wired. And if you want anything reliable, it's going to need to be wired. So, how easy is this house that you're looking at, or townhome, or what have you? How easy is it going to be to actually uh, run the wires, especially if you're doing it yourself? Is it a single level ranch? Is it a two-story, three-story? Is there a crawl space? Is there a basement? All those things are going to make a big difference when it comes to running wires. Because, to be totally honest, if you're like me, if it's not easy to run wires, I'm probably not going to be running the wires. I'm not saying that, sorry, honey, we can't buy this house because it's not easy to run wires. Everything else is perfect and it's exactly like you wanted, but it's just not going to work. I mean, it's not something to, not buy a house over. But if you're wanting to make a smart home, you're going to want to make sure how you're going to run these wires, or at least keep that in mind, because for networking, you got to make sure that you're able to run those wires. If it's a first, just a single story, single level house, as long as you got an attic, as long as you got a crawl space or a basement, you can run wires fairly easy. When it comes to a two-story home, that becomes a lot harder. Then it turns into, okay, do we have a crawl space? Do we have an attic? Do we have a uh, basement? How am I going to run these wires throughout this house? Because, like I said, you're going to need to run wires whether you think that everything should be wireless or not. You're going to need wires, whether it's going to be an Ethernet wire, an HDMI wire, um, power over to Ethernet. I mean, you're going to need to run wires throughout this house for your DIY or just any smart home in general. So you want to make sure you can figure out how, or just keep in mind, how am I going to run wires in this house? So as you're walking around, you're just going to want to make sure you can figure that out. The other thing is, where will my central spot be? Where will I be able to have a centralized place that I will be able to have, all the hubs, all, where's my internet provider going to put the router? Where is his connection coming in a central location so I can easily get that distributed all around the house? Um, that's going to be a very big thing to deal with, because if the ISP brings in the router on the end of the house that is totally opposite of where everything is at or going to go, or where you're going to need to run wires, that's going to be a problem. That's going to be something that's going to make an issue for you. Either A, cost you a lot more in wiring, or B, it's going to make it a lot more difficult, again, to run the wires. So you're going to want to look for or think about, where am I going to make a centralized place? This falls into also networking. When you do networking, you're going to want your access points that you're going to put around the house. Uh, they're going to need to go to one central location. So you're going to need to make sure you know where that might be, or where you could think that would be envisioned. Whether that's in a rack mount, whether that's just on a shelf with the Philips Hue hub, or the Smart Things hub, or your Lutron hub, all the different types of hubs and everything that you're going to have, they need to be centralized. Um, so those are some things that you want to think about while you're looking around at these houses, as you're going, with your realtor and stuff to go look at these houses. Yes, look at, is the basement flooded, kind of thing. But for the smart home in general, you want to make sure you can figure out how to run these wires, how easily it will be to run these wires. And yeah, so running wires is the biggest thing in general that you're going to have to deal with. The next thing you have to think about is lighting. So you want to do smart lighting. I'm a huge proponent for smart lighting, but done at the switch, not done at the bulb, not Philips Hue bulbs or LifeX bulbs or Wise bulbs, but done at the actual switch. Be that a Lutron Caseta, that's probably what I would suggest. Most robust, most options there for you. But this in live runs an issue. Okay, so that's where your screwdriver comes in play. Uh, when the realtor's not looking, take one of the light switch covers off and see, don't kill yourself, don't hit wires or anything, but see if there's a neutral wire there. If depending on the age of the home, there may not be an actual white or neutral line into that switch box. Uh, that being said, there are a lot of switches out there that now do not require a neutral line to wire up. Lutron has some options there as well as some other brands. But that's going to make it important for you, especially if you already have smart home stuff at home that you're planning on bringing over to the new house. Will your stuff work? And with those neutral lines, whether it's for the lights or for the switches, it's going to be very helpful for you. So that's lighting. Lighting basically is dealing with, is the wiring there to be able to have the smart switch, or if it's not, are you going to have to go with the bulbs? Which again, bulbs. If you're doing bulbs, then you're going to have to deal with hubs, and if you're going to have to deal with hubs, you're going to have to make sure your hubs can be centrally located to be able to communicate to all the different bulbs. Because if you're like me and you have, a ceiling fan fixture that has 3-4 bulbs in each one, and it's a 3-4 bedroom home with a living room, a family room, a kitchen, a dining room, a basement, family room, that's a lot of bulbs, which is why I'm saying switches are definitely the cheaper way to go. And also, you don't have to deal with one bulb unpairing versus another bulb being paired, and then you have something like we had in our living room where of the three bulbs, one was white, one was green, one was blue. Uh, my son had decided to flip the light switch on and off, which reset a couple of them. So with not dealing with that and just having a switch, you don't have to deal with that. So there's lighting. Next thing I can think of, I would say the next big thing would be something like security system. Are you going to have a security system? Is there one already in place? Is this something that you're going to want to have, like ADT install, or is it something that you're going to want to, buy the Wise home um, security package, or I don't know, wire your own type of security package, the Amazon one. So with that, you got to think of, okay, how many doors, how many outside doors, how many windows. Um, is this going to be really expensive to have all these things done? Do I have a lot of windows? So I don't want to have contact sensors. I'm going to do instead, glass breaking or vibration sensor or a motion sensor. But is the room set up to where make it easy to set up, um, along with security? Because some people just don't have security. Some people don't have security systems, or they have them and they never use them. Another thing is security cameras. Now, I'm a very big proponent of having cameras at your house. Not big about having them in the house, but having them outside of the house. Sadly, we live in a world today where people like to just walk down your street and try all the doors in every car all along the street. And if yours happened to be the one that you forgot to lock, guess what? All your stuff is gone. Um, but being able to have cameras outside to monitor your area, monitor your property, and also not just yours, but you got to think of if your neighbor gets broken into, the police are going to want to ask questions. And it's a really good feeling when you're able to go, hey, actually, I do have a camera pointed that way, and I might be able to get you some clips that would be useful for you, and you're able to help your neighbors out. Not only yourself, but you're able to help those around you with those cameras. That being said, are you going to do hardwired cameras? So is there power around the outside of the house? Even if you're going to do, I mean, as simple as cheap as a Wise camera, that needs power. Even though it's a wireless camera, it needs power. So is there a plug or someplace that you can get to? Or is it easily accessible to run an Ethernet wire out that you can run power over Ethernet and be able to run your Wise Cam or your EasyViz or your Real Links or your Ubiquity cameras, what have you? Uh, Again, the wiring is going to be the key focus of these homes. Is it going to be easy to get a wire to the outside? Is it a brick out exterior? So you're going to have to hammer drill into brick to mount your cameras? Um, or is it just a normal siding, vinyl siding that you can just drill straight into the wood and put it in and no problem? Um, Things like that will make a difference. And then it's going to turn into, how many cameras do you need? How many, how much coverage are you going to want? Is it going to be something where you want these cameras to have lights as well? So, when somebody walks by, it activates a motion trigger and it turns a light on. Um, but again, you're going to want to be able to see, is this area set up to have cameras? Is it easily to put installed, or are you going to have somebody else come out and install them for you? So security, whether it's in the home or security cameras outside, always again, security cameras outside I'm a big proponent for. Uh, and here's the caveat: don't get the cheapest security cameras. I know Wise are really cheap and they, work great for apartments and for, you know, we use them at my house. They work really great as, I've got videos on using them as baby monitors. They're good, they're cheap, but you got to remember when somebody comes and breaks into your car, they're not doing it in the middle of the day. They're going to do it in the middle of the night, which means you're going to need something, a camera that's going to be able to have good clarity enough that is even useful for you, for the police, for the investigators, anybody. The fact that, oh, I have a camera, oh, good, let me see the footage, and you pull it up and it's just then you can see the blob moving to your car and the blob moves away from your car. Oh, great. Well, I know a blob broke into your car. Can't see anything about them. Can't see what collar shirt they were wearing, if they were wearing a hat, if they walked in, if they had a car, what the color of the car is, what the make of the car is. So, all of these things, when it comes to security cameras outside, make sure they're useful and they have a useful and clear picture. Because, again, if the picture is useless, then what's the point of having the camera outside? Maybe it's just as a deterrent that somebody sees a camera there and goes, "Oh, I'm on camera." Okay, well then maybe that's helpful, I guess. But if you want footage, um, don't go cheap on the cameras. Which then goes to video doorbells. Okay, does your house or does this house that you're looking at have a doorbell? Some houses don't even have doorbells. They don't even have wires going to a doorbell. So again, if there's wires there, is there just one doorbell? Is there a doorbell on the side door, on the back door, and the front door? Uh, is it just one door? Um, and again, does it have the wires there to be able to hardwire your doorbell? Because let's be honest, yes, uh, Ring and a lot of them make battery powered doorbells, but nobody's got time to be recharging and swapping out doorbell batteries. That's just, I, I get it. I understand it's there because there's a need for it, but it's not. Half the time, the batteries are dead before anybody realizes it, and then by then, if anything happens, your battery's dead, so it doesn't pick up the footage. Um, so check and see, do you have wires there to power your doorbell? Or again, is it easy to run a wire where you want a doorbell? Um, and then put a little transformer and use the chime. Okay, that's very simple to do, but is the accessible for the channel for the wire to go run through? You'll have to, think about that. So we got general done, security, cameras, lighting, doorbells, AV. Do you want speakers are throughout your home? I think that's one of the things that I really enjoy about home audio is being able to have just music playing in the background, and not so much like a Google Home sitting there or an Alexa sitting there, just playing a playlist or something, but having speakers throughout the home, either just in the family room, in the kitchen and dining room, or in the bedrooms, maybe in the playroom, in the kids' room. Just having audio around us, you can specify. And here's the thing: being able to play either across all of them the same thing, or specify different stuff that's being played in different rooms or different areas. Uh, so again, is that something you want to have in your home? If that's the case, what's the ceiling made out of? Is it a drop ceiling? Is it a drywall ceiling? Is it a stucco ceiling? All these things matter because it's going to make a difference on how easy it is to put and install those speakers. Is it a first floor with a second floor on top house that you got to figure out? Okay, how am I going to run the wires? Again, running wires is key to just about everything in a smart home. Is it easy to run wires? A lot of times, with a two-story or three-story home, if you're putting speakers or any kind of wire in the middle floors, uh, it might be easier and quicker and cheaper to everything's going to. Are you going to have it to where each room is all controlled by one place, or each room is individually controlled, or everything goes back to a hub that everybody can, use their phones or their tablets or what have you, access and control it? How's it going to be controlled? Um, Video, same idea. Are you going to have TVs in a different couple rooms? Are you going to want to be able to have a single DVD player that goes to any room that you specify? Or you're just going to put a TV and a DVD player, or a TV and an internet connection in every single room? Make sure there's internet in every single room. Yes, these smart TVs have built-in Wi-Fi, but I'm telling you, if you're trying to stream anything, you're running Roku or you're running your Apple TV and you want to run 4K streaming video, make sure it's hardwired. Don't settle for the buffering rate and the issues of doing and dealing with that. So again, put Ethernet in those rooms. Even if it's a room that you have no idea if you're ever going to have a TV or a computer or anything, drop a wire there. Much easier. So audio and visual. Let's see, what's next? HVAC. HVAC is something very important to know what your system is in that house. So you're looking at a home, maybe it already has a smart thermostat. Okay, great. So we already know that this unit works with Nest or Ecobee or Wise or um, Honeywell, any of the smart thermostats. If it already has one, great, it already has one. But if it doesn't, is it compatible? Can you put a smart thermostat in this house? It's as easy as popping off the thermostat that's already there. Like, and you might think, well, everyone, all thermostats, all HVAC system, furnaces and AC units should be able to be controlled by a smart thermostat. And while I'll say 80%, you are correct. Not all places. I've got a oil boiler heat uh, furnace, not able to have a smart thermostat. Um, just not the technology back then that had the ability to do it. And it's separate because it's also a hot water tank. So I can't wire it in to be able to just turn on for heat, because if it doesn't turn on for hot water and I don't need it for heat, that's why I wasn't able to do anything. So check when you're looking at these homes or this house that you want to go buy or get it into. Um, See if the thermostat, if the furnace or the AC unit can be controlled by a smart thermostat. Maybe it's a whole bunch of split units. Maybe it's window air units. Well, are these units able to be controlled by IR remotes? Well, then you can use something like a Broadlink to be able to control those throughout the home by that. Are you going to do room sensors? I know I have a video out there that is basically talks about should you buy or install or have these room sensors. And while when I put it out there, it was very early in these room sensors, so no, at that time it wasn't. Today, um, I'd say it's not a bad idea. It definitely depends on, do you have a single unit? Do you have multiple floors? Are you just dealing with one floor and that's all you're going to do? If it's just one floor and you just want to, average out, yeah, sure. Do you want smart ventilations, vents put in? Do you want smart grills? Um, is it something that they even make the type of smart vent that would fit into what is in that house? So just things to keep in mind while you're looking at the house to buy that you want to make smart. I'm trying to think of something else. Anything else? Oh, your power panel, your breaker box. Uh, what is it set up for? Is it an old knob and tube? Is it the screw and fuse? Is it the normal breakers? Are there extra room to be able to put more breakers in? Because you're going to have a lot of smart home stuff probably, so you're more than likely want to have that on its own line, its own. I like to have that on its own breaker, so that way it deals with just my smart home stuff. Um, and if you want to have power monitoring for your smart home, uh, are you able to even do that? You got to be able to know whether that panel has that ability to hook up a smart home uh, power monitoring system too. Again, if it's knob and tube wires, not going to be doing much with it. If it's uh, screw and fuses, probably not going to be doing too much with that either. But just having that knowledge of knowing ahead of time, what am I able to put in here, what will work here, is very important when you're looking to make a new home, whether it's a new home to you, old home, a new construction. These are things that you're wanting to know and watch out for when you're going and viewing these properties. I'm trying to think of anything else. Uh, what all brought it on was we bought a home. We close here in a couple weeks, and then I get to have fun in July of ripping everything out, all the carpet, redoing all the painting, putting new flooring in, putting new carpet in, and putting a lot of trans bring my smart home stuff over to it. And part of it was, is it capable? Can I even use the Lutron switches that I have here at this new home? Um, is the panel box, does it have a 200 amp service or a 100 amp service? Is it enough to be able to power everything I would want it to use and want to do with it? Um, is it easy? It has a basement with a drop ceiling. So if we're doing speakers down in the basement, that's going to be something I'm going to, drop ceiling's not always fun to deal with because you can only put so much weight on a drop ceiling tile for speaker wise. So all those things come very important while you're looking for a home. And yes, it's not um, is the basement leaking? Is the roof leaking? Is the electrical up to code? It's none of the major things that when you're looking for a home, you need to make sure, your home inspector approves and make sure everything's okay and up to code and not going to burn down. But at the same time, if you're wanting to make your home smart, these are things you're going to want to look at while you're there at each of these homes and taking the tours with your realtor on, is this something that I could retrofit or make into a smart home? Is the capability, is the options, is the ability there to be able to do that? So that's what I got for today. Is what to look for in your homes while you're looking for homes if you're going to make them a smart home. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or anything, please leave a comment below. Um, if anybody had any questions, I didn't see anything. Nope, nobody had any questions. I know I'm a little early. I was supposed to do this at 5 and we're at 4:20, but I'm on my way home now. Um, so yeah, so I hope you guys have a great rest of the day. Again, like I said, got any questions, let me know. If you got any ideas for topics for Ride Home with Josh or Ride Along with Josh or Homeward Bound with Josh, I don't know, whatever you want to, maybe titles you think would be a good one or topics you want to see discussed on this. And I just think a live stream works really well because then if you have questions while I'm doing it's a good time to be able to ask them and I can answer them and we can get the discussion going and stuff like that. So Hope you guys have a great rest of the day. God bless. See ya.